Over the next 4 episodes, I, Katheryn Howard, would like to tell you about my life and the events which led to my untimely death. As a Howard, I came from a noble and powerful family. However, being the 10th of 11 children of a 3rd son, I was one of too many for my impoverished parents, and being a daughter made me fairly unimportant within my family, meaning my birthday was never actually recorded. After my mother's death, and aged about 5, I was sent to live with my father's stepmother, the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk, at Chesworth House in Horsham. My grandmother was rarely there, being often at court. However, when at home, she complained ceaselessly about the expense of supporting numerous grandchildren. Despite this, she provided a comfortable home, and here my days were spent passing the time in the most pleasant manner, surrounded by other girls of varying ages and attending lessons suitable for a girl of my breeding. By the time I was around 12 years old, I had been having regular lessons in dancing, music, reading, and writing. The latter 2 I cannot say I enjoyed. However, I displayed great interest in my dance and music classes. In my music lessons, I was taught the virginals and lute by one Henry Mannix, a man considerably older than me, but who showed an enormous interest in my education. His attentions were flattering, and being a girl who was not considered conventionally beautiful, and who had been passed from relative to relative from her earliest memory, I was initially pleased to receive them. However, things soon became out of my control, and I am ashamed to admit it, but at the flattering and fair persuasions of Mannix, being but a young girl, I suffered him at sundry times to handle and touch the secret parts of my body, which neither became me with honesty to permit, nor him to require. Such shame still burns within me when I think of it. But I was a girl of 12, small in stature and inexperienced in the ways of the world, and unable to escape the strong grasps and clutches of a man of 36. Mannix continued with his attentions for another 2 years, and for fear of both mine and my grandmother's reputations, I remained silent and suffered them. Eventually, my grandmother discovered us, and though she gave me 2 or 3 heavy blows and blamed me for what had taken place, I was relieved when she announced that we would never be alone again. Finally, I could free myself from Mannix and his wandering hands, and try to forget my experiences in Horsham. It was a day of great joy when I packed up my limited belongings and left the confines of that place. My joy then increased tenfold when I met Francis Derham, a secretary to the Dowager Duchess. I admit our friendship quickly turned to love, and eventually Francis, by many persuasions, procured me to his vicious purpose, and obtained first to lie upon my bed with his doublet and hose, and after within the bed, and finally he lay with me naked, and used me in such sort as a man doth his wife many and sundry times, but how often I know not. I say this not to shock you, dear friends, but because during this time I firmly believed he loved me as I loved him. He called me wife as I called him husband, and having vowed to marry, we lived as such. I honestly believe Francis would have been my husband, had circumstances not taken our chance away. Before a year had passed, my grandmother received an anonymous note, which I later learnt came from the jealous hand of Henry Mannix, disclosing our relationship. She caught us together one evening, and my dear Francis was immediately sent to Ireland on important business. My heart hung heavy with the loss of my husband, but he promised the parting would be brief, and that on his return we would marry as planned. Before he left, he entrusted me with £100, a huge amount of money, and all he had in the world. How could I have known then that my idyllic country life was about to change forever?